Everybody, welcome to the Review Diaries. I am your host, Jackie Moore, and for this first official review episode, I will be talking about the 2023 film All of Us Strangers, starring Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal. This film is a kind of supernatural romance drama with LGBTQ themes that also explore grief and trauma. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. I watched this movie when it first came out on Hulu. I was very excited just because Paul Mescal is like one of my favorite actors of like today, just period. Any project he has done I've really liked. I think he is on a very good trajectory with his career. I think he's been very smart with the kind of roles that he has picked so far. So I'm definitely very excited to see kind of how his career just continues to grow and flourish. Andrew Scott, this is actually like the first thing that I saw him in because I had never seen Fleabag before prior to this film. And he is more notably known as the priest in Fleabag. And this performance of his just honestly like kind of blew me away, and I knew that after this I had to watch Fleabag, which did not disappoint like whatsoever. He was incredible in that as well. This is a like kind of supernatural romance like drama, and it follows Andrew Scott's character, which is named Adam. He is a screenwriter. Starts with Adam kind of like just like going about his day-to-day routine, which really kind of consists of him just writing and really staying in his home. That's pretty much like all he does, with the exception of one thing like throughout the film. So it starts with that, and then as he is like getting ready to make himself dinner like for the night, the fire alarm goes off in his apartment. So naturally he leaves his apartment and goes outside while the alarm is going off, and then we kind of like see as he is walking out that the building is like very noticeably empty. Like there's not even anyone kind of security wise or like in the front desk like reception area, I guess, of like the apartment building. And the hallway's like completely empty, like nobody's walking out when the alarm is going off. So that immediately I was like, okay, something is going on here. So he exits the building, and then it kind of pans up and you can see the building, and like every single like window is like completely just like dark, and you're like, what? This is like literally an apartment building, and he lives like almost like at the very top of the building, but we see like one apartment that has a light on, and we see this like figure that is looking down at him from his apartment. He didn't leave, so he kind of is looking down at Adam. So after a minute, Adam goes back into his apartment, and his doorbell rings. And we are introduced to Paul Mescal's character, Harry, who is the only other person that lives in this apartment building. So they introduce themselves, and then Harry kind of mentions that he has seen Adam in the building a couple times. So they shake hands, and it's like this whole thing where as like they're departing their hands, Harry kind of lingers on Adam's hands a little bit longer, and there's a shot of like their hands together. So he kind of lets go of it a little bit slowly. And then you can also kind of like notice that Harry is either like drunk or high. He's kind of slurring his words. He's leaning like against the door frame, and his eyes are like a little bit glossed over. They're kind of talking, and Adam's kind of like wanting to close the door, and then Harry's trying to like have a conversation with him, but Adam's like kind of not really like having it. And then Harry kind of asks Adam how he can like cope with the silence in the building because it's just so incredibly quiet with like nobody living in there. And then Harry kind of makes mention to Adam about like the people over the apartment buildings not wanting them to open the window so they can hear like outside noises so they can't like jump off the building, which is already triggering some alarm bells for me. But Harry has like this bottle in his hand and it's alcohol. And he offers Adam a drink, but Adam obviously declines. And then Harry's like, "Can I come in?" He's like, either for a drink or like whatever else you want. But Adam's like, "No." So eventually Adam just closes the door, and you can kind of tell as Harry is leaving to go back to his apartment that he's like upset. So he just kind of goes in the elevator and goes back to his apartment. So the next morning, it's Adam at his desk, and he is working on a script because, like I said, he's a screenwriter. And he finds this box of old stuff from his childhood. So we see pictures of him as a child, and we kind of see like glimpses of his parents, but we don't really see their faces quite yet. And then we see this old house, which is Adam's like childhood home. So then Adam leaves the apartment and he is on a train. So he falls asleep on the train ride, and then when he wakes up, he walks over to this like house, and we see that it's like the home in the picture. And he also like notices this boy in the window. So he kind of walks over to like this park. It has children in it and there's families and stuff. And then he keeps walking like a little bit further, and there's like this empty field, and starts doing this kind of like meditation, breathing exercise. And then we see after some time that there's a man that appears like kind of behind him. And so the man signals Adam to follow him, and he does, which is like, why would you do that? But it's now dark, and they meet at this store and they greet each other. And then they start talking, and the man like suggests that they like go quote unquote like home. So they go back to the house, his childhood home, and then there's a woman that greets them at the door, and then her clothes are like, and her hairstyle too, they're very like of a different time period. It looks very like 50s or 60s. So immediately I was like, is that like his parents, or like who is that? So Adam goes in, and then they start like getting ready to have dinner. So the couple asks Adam like what he does for a living and where he lives and everything. And then the lady calls Adam like our son. And so they cheer to him being like back home. And then they start reminiscing about like Adam's childhood. And then we see pictures of Adam when he was like younger, and can also see that Adam's like visibly emotional, just like looking at his parents and reminiscing about just his life with his parents. And then they say goodbye, and they tell Adam to come back soon. So he returns to his apartment and then bumps into Harry as he is getting into the elevator. And they get in, and then they kind of don't really say anything to each other, but Harry does apologize for the other night, and then Adam tells him not to worry, but invites him like to his apartment for a drink. But the elevator closes before Harry can say yes or no. So the next day, Adam is writing again, and then he sees Harry down on the street, kind of like how Harry saw him when he left to go outside when the alarm was ringing. So they wave at each other, and then Adam was, for some reason, looking at Harry with binoculars. So Harry comes up to his apartment, and then he offers him a drink, but Harry says he's off alcohol, so they smoke weed. They ask each other about like their friends, if they have like family in the area and stuff, but they both say that they don't really have anyone that is close in the area. So Harry asks Adam if he's queer, and then Adam confirms like, yes, I am like queer. So they have a little giggle about that, and then they both realize that they're single, and Harry immediately just like asks Adam if he can like kiss him. So they start making out, and then they hook up on the couch. After they're done, Harry finds some pictures of Adam's childhood, and then Adam tells him that he is writing about his parents and that they died before he was 12. And then Harry confesses that he doesn't really see his parents that much. So the next day, Adam is back at his parents' house, and it's raining when he gets there. So when he goes inside, his mom tells him to take his clothes off because, I mean, it's obviously like soaking wet. So she says to change into something, but he is like in his like 30s. So he goes into his childhood room and kind of is like looking at stuff, and then his mom comes in with some of his dad's clothes so he can wear them. And he's kind of apprehensive about taking his clothes off in front of his mom because he's like a full grown adult. And then he eventually does take his clothes off, just waiting for the clothes to dry. And then she looks at him and she gets emotional because she says that he looks like her dad. Next scene is in the kitchen, and then his mom asks him if he is seeing anybody. So Adam reveals to her that he is single and that he is in fact not into women, that he is gay. So they start having this like very raw and open conversation about his sexuality, which was interesting just because, I mean, if you look at her, she looks like she is not of that time period. And she does tell him that she's surprised. She doesn't know how she feels about it because she doesn't really know any parents who would want to think about their child being gay, which is rough to hear. She asks if people are ever like mean to him, and he says that, you know, things are like different now, that people aren't as openly offended about stuff like that. She asks about like him having children, if he wants that, if he wants to get married, and like how that's even possible. He tells her it's legal and that he doesn't know if he even really wants that for himself, but that it is a possibility. And then she also asks him like if he's lonely, and he says that if he is, it's not necessarily because he is gay. And then she asks about like AIDS and stuff, but obviously he tells her that that's not something that we have to worry about now. So eventually Adam goes back to his apartment, and then Harry comes by shortly after. So he kind of is like hot to the touch. I don't really know if it was like a fever, but he's just kind of just warm. And then Harry like runs him a bath and then sits with him. It's a very like, honestly, a nice scene. It's very cute. Them just like sitting together, having conversation, and just being like open with each other. And then they have sex. So, and then when they're done, Adam asks Harry about like his mom or anything, but he also says that he doesn't see her that much either. And Harry also kind of makes this like obscure reference of being on the edge or over the edge with his family, since his siblings all have like family and partners, and he reveals that he doesn't go home as much. And he is like emotional in revealing this with Adam because he says that he feels like he's a stranger in his own family. So the next day, Adam goes back to his parents' house, and his mom isn't there. It's his dad. And Adam asks his dad if he knows like what they talked about. But his dad tells him that he always knew that he was gay. He says that he would hear him crying after school, ask him if he was bullied. So Adam kind of opens up to his dad about what kids used to do to him in school. And then he asks his dad like why he never came into his room when he was crying. Then his dad asks why he never told him anything about the bullying. So they start having this like really tense conversation, and his dad says that he doesn't want to think of his son as someone who was bullied and that if he were a kid in that school that he would have probably bullied Adam too. And Adam says that this is why he never opened up to his dad. So it's a very tense conversation that they're having. I mean, Adam confesses to his dad that he still, to this day, even as a full-grown adult, thinks about the fact that his dad would tell him over and over not to cross his legs like a woman, and that every time he does it, it like triggers that thought in his head. So his dad starts getting like very upset and emotional, and he starts crying and then apologizes to Adam for not ever coming into his room. And immediately Adam just started, it was the saddest thing. It was the most intense scene ever. But he starts crying, tells him that it's fine, that it was like so long ago. So they hug, and the scene ends with a shot of Adam and his dad hugging, but it's Adam as a child, and it's them in the mirror, like reflected, them hugging. And then Adam goes back home and he tells Harry that they should go out, that they need to like go out to a club and have fun. So they're drinking, dancing, having a good time, and they do ketamine in the bathroom. And then there's somehow like a montage of them being a couple, just having time together in Adam's apartment. And then it flashes back to the club, and Adam is trying to find Harry, and he's still kind of experiencing the effects of the ketamine. So all of this that is going on is like while he is on this drug. And then he wakes up in his childhood room, and he's wearing like this adult size kid's onesie, and it's Christmas, so his parents are decorating the tree, and they notice that he's running a really hot fever. So his mom is kind of wary in the conversation, since they haven't really talked since he revealed that he was gay. And after that tense moment that she had with him, she kind of didn't really want to broach a conversation. But Adam puts like the angel on the tree, and then his mom gives him a kiss, and then they take a picture together, and it's reflected back that it's Adam again as a child. And then after that, him and his mom are in Adam's like old room, and he kind of starts to panic and think about the night that his parents died. And because they had gone out for drinks like with another family, and he kind of starts to panic about that. He says that he can't fall asleep, so he goes to his parents' room like he used to when he was a kid, and then he gets into bed with them. His mom tells him that he used to do that like every night with different fears keeping him up, and she says that she used to wish that he would just kind of grow up so he would stop like keeping her up at night, basically. And he apologizes to her, but she said that he has nothing to be sorry for, that she should have cherished him like keeping her up at night and everything. And then she kind of starts asking him like what he did after he died, where he used to live and everything, and that she hates that they weren't around there for him when he like needed them the most. So, and then he opens up about when they died, and he was like growing up, he kind of would plan out his life and imagine things as if his parents were like still living, basically, which I thought was interesting because, as you know, someone that has experienced grief in my life, I think about like moments that I would have in my life and how that would be if my dad were still here, kind of thing. And I kind of imagine conversations I would have had as I was growing up more, and then obviously other moments in my life too. And it's kind of crazy to see that someone else is also experiencing like those kinds of thoughts, like having lost their parents. And it's just yeah, it's just interesting to see that other people also feel that way, that it's not just me. And so Adam like starts crying. He says that he's like not okay. So then we pan over to Harry, who is in the same bed but comforting Adam. And then there are these flashes in the window like a police car, and then Adam just like wakes up startled from a dream on the train. And so he sees Harry walk by and tries to follow him. But then he is in a train car again because he is following Harry, and then he starts coughing also. And he sees a kid in the window, like in the reflection. The kid is screaming out for his mom. And then he wakes up again from a dream, but he is now in bed with Harry back in his apartment. So Harry tells him that he kept screaming out for his parents in the club, so he brought him back to the apartment so he could sleep. And Adam's like visibly upset, so he starts crying in Harry's arms, which is a incredibly sad moment. After that is probably my honestly favorite scene like in the entire movie, just because I thought it was very well done. And it's Adam opening up to Harry about how his parents died. So they died in a car accident when he was 12 because they had been drinking and the car skidded on black ice, and then Adam tells him that his dad died instantly while his mother died in the hospital, and she also lost an eye in the accident, but that his grandmother didn't let Adam ever say goodbye to his mom or see him because that obviously would have been so traumatic to just see his mom like that. And you can see that Harry is like visibly emotional, like he's like teary-eyed and everything. And Adam kind of tells him that he had always felt lonely, but that losing his parents made that like terrifying feeling that he'd always be alone just solidify, and it kind of would tangle up between every other experience and trauma he had had in his life too, and that he felt like his future didn't matter because he'd just always be alone. And then Harry reveals to him too that he knows how easy it would be to stop just caring for yourself. And after that, the scene ends with Adam asking Harry to come with him to show him something. And it is his parents' house. So they get on the train and they go over there. And Harry's like obviously nervous because no one's in the house. It's dark. And Adam keeps knocking on the doors and the windows, trying to like be let in. And he's confused why Adam's trying to get in, and then Adam tells him that that's his house, that his parents are in there. So it's honestly very rough to watch because you see Adam's like desperation, like wanting to introduce Harry to his parents basically, but like they're not there. He's been, I guess, either imagining them like in his head, or he's been kind of dreaming about them. At this point I don't exactly know like how that has been like happening, but it's just hard to see. And then Harry wants to take Adam home, but he refuses. But you can see while Adam's like knocking on the windows that his parents are inside, but they don't let him in. And as Adam is breaking the window like with his hand, Harry just runs away and goes back to the apartment. So Adam wakes up with his parents in the room, and he is in the house already. He asks them why they don't let him in, and that he said that, and then they say that it doesn't work like that. They ask if Adam is his boyfriend or if he's in love with him, but Adam tells him that he doesn't really know because he's never been in love before. So his parents tell him that it's probably best that he doesn't start coming by to see him anymore because it's just not letting him move on. And obviously Adam wants to keep seeing them because he says that it's not been like a long enough time of him like just seeing them and everything. So his dad suggests that they go to his favorite place that they used to go to as a child, which is this restaurant in a shopping center. So they get to the restaurant and they order like the family special, which is 3 milkshakes, I think. So they order their like food, and then his parents ask if their deaths were quick. So Adam tells them how they died, and his parents open up and tell him that they are just incredibly proud of who he has become and everything that he's done to overcome all these like difficult obstacles like in his life. But Adam says that he has not done anything to make them proud, to which his parents like refute and say, no, you've gotten through this life and all these experiences on your own. So it's a very emotional moment, and they're trying to kind of get him to let go, but he begs them to stay a bit. They tell him they love him, and then because his dad was the first to die in the accident, he is the one that kind of disappears first. So his mom lingers around, and she is like suddenly not able to see because like in the accident she lost her eyes, so she's kind of blind. So Adam reaches out for her, and they kind of have this like really emotional moment, and she makes him promise to try with Harry and says that he might need like some taking care of because she noticed that his eyes were like really sad and stuff, which was very observant of her. But she says that she would have liked him and that she hopes that they are able to make each other a bit happier. So the food is brought to the table, and then it's just Adam at the table now with the 3 milkshakes in the shot. So he is understandably like very upset, emotional, and crying. So after that, Adam returns to his apartment and he goes to Harry's place, and the walk there is like just so eerie and quiet. So we can hear as he is opening the door that there's like this white noise going on in the apartment, and it's the TV that's been like set to the static, I guess, that he initially mentioned like when they first met. So immediately as as Adam walks in the apartment, there's like this horrible smell in the apartment, and he opens the door, but it looks empty, even though Harry's stuff is kind of scattered around everywhere. So he's looking around, kind of snooping on his stuff, and then he gets to Harry's bedroom door, and he opens the door like the tiniest bit, and the smell just like hits him, and it's like literally horrible, and he's very visibly shocked at what he sees, which is Harry's dead body in the bed. And I was shocked when I saw this scene, because initially when I first saw it, I thought that Harry had just like died after they had gone to his parents' house, but he is actually wearing the clothes that he wore the first time they met. And it didn't like register in my brain like how like the smell of it, because I don't exactly know like how much time had passed from their like first initial meeting to this moment, but the smell that Adam experienced was his decomposing body. So he had been dead like since that first night that Adam rejected him, and he has the bottle in his hand. And so obviously Adam's like very shocked to see that he is dead in the bedroom. And then we hear this noise in the background, and it is Harry walking in. And it's like, I guess, his spirit or whatever. And he asks Adam what he's doing there, and he says that he was trying to find him. That he said goodbye to his parents, and that he just had to come over here. So Harry is like visibly upset, and he has the same bottle in his hands that is now full, and he's wearing the same pink sweater that he was wearing that first night. And he reveals to Adam that he was just so scared that first night that he needed to not be alone. So Adam apologizes, saying that he was just too scared to let him in. And then they kind of like linger there, and then Harry asks him if like he is in that other room. because he says that he can like smell it. And he also kind of has this like glow or aura about him, which was interesting. And then he's like, how come no one found me? Like, where's my mom and dad? I don't want you to see me like that. And Adam kind of tries to reassure him and talk him down, saying like, no, that's not you. Like, you're here with me. Like, it's okay. And that was just like very incredibly hard to watch. It was just so heartbreaking. So they kind of decide to just go upstairs to Adam's room. And then they lie in bed together, and then Harry tells Adam that he saw his parents at his house. And then Adam tells him that his parents would have loved him. And Harry reveals that he is scared. And then Adam reassures him, like, no, it's okay. Like, I'm here with you. Like, just kind of trying to be comforting. So Harry puts his hand on Adam's heart and tells him to not let it be tangled up again. So eventually they kind of cuddle in bed and they turn over, and there's a shot that pans out from the bed, and they like eventually like turn into a star, I guess, because it's kind of like a picture of like the night sky, and that's how the movie ends. And to be honest, I like, in watching the movie, I was not expecting that ending whatsoever, because I don't know, I think halfway through it did kind of cross my mind that maybe Harry was like actually dead all this time, but that only confused me more with Adam's part in all of it, because I thought, well, is Adam also dead? Why is there no one else in this freaking apartment? It was confusing. And in like watching it again, I kind of thought that maybe the apartment building was like a reference to maybe like a gate to the afterlife kind of thing, since it was just the two of them there. I don't know. In watching it again, they were in there like by themselves the entire time. There was like nobody there, and they did not interact with any other people. And just with Adam's feelings of grief and his parents and his depression, and then him seeing them, I guess like him kind of writing about his parents was his way of coping, and his like final, I guess, task before he passed on. But there were times also where I was like, no, he might just be imagining everything, but I don't know. I kind of would like to think that him processing like everything with his parents was like his last task in life before he could be at peace, I guess, just because he was so racked with guilt about everything. And then having lost his parents at such a young age and having to deal with so many like big major things on his own without like any family too. I don't know, but it just makes the Harry of it all like an even bigger question, because it's like, well, would they have even had that kind of beautiful relationship had he been alive? Would he have even been alive if Adam would have let him in on the first meeting? Was he actually like that? Was anything that they had real? I don't know. It kind of was confusing, to be honest. And it's really left to open interpretation, and you can kind of make your own mind up about it, which I like and I found interesting. And I feel like the more you watch it, the more different takes you can have on it, which is cool. Overall, it was just, everyone was just going through it, and it just was horrible. But I thought that their performances were very good. They had incredible chemistry, which I was very happy about. Incredibly heartbreaking to watch a film like this, having experienced your own kind of grief in losing a parent. first time I watched it was definitely like crying. It was not an easy watch the first time. So, yeah. And I just think they touched on the subject of grief and loss, and then also just identity and having to go through life with this huge important part of your life missing, which is your parents, because they are such a formative part of you as a human being growing up, especially. And I think that loss of a parent at such a young age is so indicative of how someone is going to grow up in life and how they're going to view things also, because it's not just their life, it's relationships and love and everything. And it's beautiful to see kind of how Adam is able to come out of it basically and open himself up to love, even if like it might have not necessarily been real, I guess, just because I don't know, it's not really clear kind of what happens with Harry, but what they had was so beautiful and raw and open and real, and they were able to relate to each other on such a like real and open level, just because they've been through so many similar things in life. And overall I thought it was very well done. So yeah. I'm trying to like not knock myself down too much with how these are gonna go, just because this is my first time and I feel like I don't really have like my thoughts in order. So please do bear with me as I navigate this format and how I'm going to do it. I promise it will get better, but if you enjoyed, please do not forget to leave a review, comment. I will be also just posting my social media handles on everything just so you can follow me in this podcast. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. And if you can hear my cat, or if you were able to hear him throughout this entire episode, I really, really, really do apologize. He is just he snores so loud and I'm so sorry, but he's got to be here and there's nothing I can do about it. But I hope you did enjoy, and stay tuned for the next episode, which will be a book review where I will be starting again with the Sarah J. Maas universe, beginning with A Court of Thorns and Roses. I will be every other week or so going through this entire universe since I have read all of her books. And like I said, I will be starting with the first book in the second series, but it kind of is the best one to start off with timeline wise. So that is the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. See you soon.